administration.
We are calling for the formation of a public commission of inquiry led by an independent body to investigate abductions, politicization of police, resurgence of criminal gangs, land grabbing, and state capture. We call for a thorough and transparent investigations into the circumstances surrounding these abductions.
These abductions represent a systematic attempt to silence dissent and instill fear among the populace of Kenya.
According to the legislators, largely from the vast Mount Kenya region, the government is using the criminal gang to instill fear among critics of the regime they once defended vehemently, until the bitter fallout between Gachagua and President Ruto.
To assess the resurgency of state-sponsored criminal gangs, including Mungiki, that are terrorizing citizens and deserters. These gangs have been creating an atmosphere of fear, lawlessness among ordinary Kenyans and critics of the government.
The leaders took issue with President William Ruto, questioning his response to the rising cases of abductions in the country, while slamming investigative agencies over what they termed as executive capture.
The President, William Ruto, in his usual ambiguous manner, has made public promises to stop the abductions, while simultaneously admonishing parents to instill discipline in their children, insinuating that lack of discipline contributes to these abductions. Since the police have denied responsibility, they have demonstrated lack of impartiality, they are conflicted and remain beholden to the executive.
We urge the President and the executive to ensure the immediate release of the remaining abductees.
Cases of land grabbing also took center stage. Gachagua's foot soldiers are raising concerns over cases in Kiambu and Nakuru counties. The leaders once again pointing an accusing finger at the state.
Rampant land grabbing alongside issues, misuse of public resources. These include examining extensive land grabbing currently underway in Ngurunga Farm in Kiambu constituency, Gikumari in Ruiru constituency, Dabibi in Naivasha constituency, Nakuru, Memorial Hospital, and many other acts of misuse of public trust, which threatens the integrity of our institution.
Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi.
The issue of abductions and enforced disappearances casts a long shadow over Kenya's human rights record. In his State of the Nation address in November 2024, President William Ruto pledged to establish an abduction response plan. This promise remains unfulfilled, and the state has been accused of being behind the spat of abductions. Now, the CS for Interior, Kipchumba Murkomen, is distancing himself from these accusations. Brian Amwai with that report.
Kenya is no stranger to the grim realities of enforced disappearances. In 2024 alone, over 80 people were abducted, with 20 still missing, according to the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. These statistics paint a harrowing picture of a nation grappling with accountability and erosion of fundamental rights. The victims of these abductions often share a common profile: activists, protesters, or government critics. For their families, the trauma is worsened by unanswered questions and a justice system that appears unwilling or unable to act. President William Ruto's November 2024 commitment to develop an abduction response plan was meant to signal a turning point, a promise to confront this crisis head-on. Nearly 2 months later, no such framework exists.
If the state was serious about abductions, it would say what it means and mean what it says. Okay. That abductions will stop, that abductions are unacceptable, and that it will nail to the wall perpetrators of abductions, to the extent that there are no comprehensive investigations, that nobody has been arrested and arraigned and followed through, it therefore follows and implies that it is the state itself that is doing these abductions, no matter what they say.
Despite existing laws addressing kidnapping and human trafficking, Kenya lacks a specialized unit or a rapid response mechanism akin to the Amber Alert system in the United States. Instead, families must rely on fragmented efforts from NGOs and local communities to find their loved ones. The Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Kipchumba Murkomen, has sought to distance himself from these allegations through his lawyers Danstan Omari and Sam Nyaberi. Murkomen told the court that he neither sanctioned abductions nor had any knowledge of them. However, his name, alongside that of the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General, remain listed as a respondent in cases brought by Okiya Omtata and the Law Society of Kenya, demanding the production of 6 young Kenyans allegedly abducted by security agencies. 5 have since been released.
And we have instructions to file to strike his name out of the petitions because, one, the job description of a cabinet secretary for interior is defined.
Critics argue that the systematic impunity remains the root cause of this crisis. The shadowy operatives and rogue police officers suspected of operating these enforced disappearances rarely face justice.
The president is his own chief spokesperson. In other words, the president on the communications front is doing a better or a bigger job than government spokesman Isaac Mwaura. That means the president is talking too much and, humanly speaking, doing too little. Therefore, have a task force against abductions, that's a waste of resources. Such things as illegal abductions are criminal in nature and don't require any organized organ to look at them. They just need to stop.
As the government continues to delay action, families, activists and human rights organizations are left to grapple with the devastating consequences of these abductions, leaving a glaring stain of Kenya's human rights record.
And so, how do you help an institution that is perceived as rotten by then having its own officers or squads within it doing unconstitutional and illegal and criminal things? That's only going from bad to worse. And so the families must understand the realities of Kenya, but also they must step forward because a lot of these kids are doing these things as activists. The families must also not think selfishly. They must take these experiences as an opportunity to make it a better country, to ensure that another family does not go through what they've gone through.
Brian Amoai, K24, Nairobi.
Mozart Casino Jackpot. Zungusha gurudumu la furaha. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet.
Asante kwa kunipigia simu. Simu yako nitaipokea kwa muda usiokuwa mrefu. Na nisipoishika, usijali.